As if out of nowhere, because that's literally what happened, Sea of Thieves teases us all with a new update set to release soon with a collab from Lucasfilm's games. Since the initial release of this showcase video, a lot of people have been asking questions such as, what will this bring to the game? And of course, given the age of the title, what the heck is Monkey Island? Well, the latter question shall be explained in a future video, where I will give all you folks a backstory into the story of Monkey Island, up until the point Guybrush and friends, or not friends, appear in Sea of Thieves. It's also worth mentioning that the story for this crossover takes place after the happenings of the third game, The Curse of Monkey Island, which is interesting as the third game isn't really considered canon to the game's lore, and the most recent iteration of Monkey Island, Return to Monkey Island, only released last year, ignores the storyline of the third completely. The Legend of Monkey Island will be a nostalgic ride down memory lane for those of us who grew up with this franchise, and will deliver content in a very similar fashion to its old point-and-click and puzzle-solving style. This will only be 3 tall tales, stretched over a course of 3 months. 1 tall tale a month. That will be a permanent addition to the game. Now, I know quite a few people have raised the concern about it only being 3 tall tales and spread over such a vast distance. Firstly, I want to talk about how the tall tales are spread out. This, I believe, is how all tall tales should have come to the game. Maybe not a month apart, but I do believe one of the biggest flaws with tall tales in the past is they've literally given us the entire story to do in one sitting, and those of us with the time to sit down and blast them all out just ends with us feeling like we have nothing left to look forward to, and of course creates a pandemic of spoiler content all over the internet from, well, people like me. Don't judge. If Pirate's Life, for example, when it was released, was only 1 new episode every 2 weeks, it would have given us all time to take a breather, look forward to the next iteration, and speculate about what's to come. Instead of random Jeff backseating his friends and live streamers ruining the plot for everyone else because he managed to do it in 6 hours. Although 1 month apart for this new set of tall tales feels like a long time, I'd much rather have it that way than all at once, with the majority of the community completing them in 1 weekend, and then sat with nothing else to look forward to. Now, getting into the tall tales themselves, as I explained earlier, the idea for these tall tales is going to be a very similar experience to the point-and-click adventure of the original Monkey Island franchise. You see, with Sea of Thieves' original tall tales and the Pirate's Life tall tales, it was all about the adventure, a very A to B content cadence. Pick thing up, take thing to thing, get a bit of lore, rinse and repeat. The Pirate's Life tall tales especially were more of a cinematic experience than they were an adventure, bite-sized, packed with action, and over relatively quickly. With the Monkey Island tall tales, the developers really want to bring back the life of the original franchise, the tongue-in-cheek puzzle solving, and the trial and error feeling those games had. Here's a plain example. All other tall tales comprise of a very simplistic gameplay loop. To try and explain this, I'll be using a mango as the goal for the tall tales. In the present setup for tall tales, it goes pretty much like this. Start tall tale, get a clue to go to an island to grab a mango, get to the mango, bring it back to the quest giver, tall tale ends. I mean, sure, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's essentially the gameplay loop. In the Monkey Island tall tales, it'll be something more like this. First, find the mango. Lorena has the mango, but won't let you have it. But the shipwright tells you about a grog that Lorena drinks that makes her fall asleep. But to get the grog, you have to get the recipe from the tavern worker, who is reluctant to tell you about this recipe due to her breakup with her boyfriend, the tailor. Her boyfriend tells you why she broke up with him, because he sucks at being romantic. In order to help him, you decide to get him some flowers to give to the tavern worker, but the only flowers you can find are guarded by a vicious cat. Cats like milk, so you enlist the help of a farmer to get some milk, but the cows are scared of a monster that lurks in the area. The monster also likes to hear good music, but you have no instrument, so you have to enlist the help of some musicians who will only help you if you join their their band. You join their band, play the music to the monster, which calms it down and in turn calms down the cows, get the milk, distract the cat, pick up the flowers, give them to the tailor, who then gives them to the tavern keeper, who then settle their differences, and as a reward, the tavern keeper gives you a mug of grog, which you then give to Lorena, which makes her fall asleep, and you take the mango. But the mango is needed to entice the town's guard to give you entry to a mysterious tavern. And here we go again. Essentially taking a very simplistic task, but creating an ever-increasing snowball of problems in order to fulfill the problem presented to you initially. And that's one of the things that made Monkey Island so popular back in the day, not just as a player, but as a game designer too. They couldn't rely on fancy graphics or intense action scenes, or bring Hollywood voice actors to create almost Shakespearean dialogue. The fun had to come from figuring stuff out and having a good laugh along the way. And this is the direction these Tall Tales will be taking. Furthermore, it was revealed that the first Tall Tale will be taking place on Melee Island, a very iconic place for the game's universe. But that also suggests that the other Tall Tales will take place on other islands within the Monkey Island universe. I mean, take your pick. I have no doubt at all that these Tall Tales will be far more fleshed out than the previous ones, and will take us all on a fun little adventure, and for some of us, a nostalgic trip down memory lane. But, as I said, much more to talk about with these sets of Tall Tales, including some backstory for the game's franchise itself for those of you who haven't played or need to catch up on the lore. But until then, calm seas and happy sailing.